appreciate you giving us some time here to talk a little bit. And, obviously the main thing that everyone is struggling with business-wise is, the economy's taking a hit. And, you've kind of talked about before how important it is to know your own metrics and your numbers through this kind of issue. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is more than ever to, really know your own metrics and your numbers now and what you should be kind of doing with them?
Well, knowing your numbers, knowing your metrics has always been important in business. We've been working for years, decades really, in helping customers understand their metrics, build reports. But right now, the world is changing faster than I've ever seen it. The idea that within, you think about it, within the last month, government mandated shuts down, the economy, is really affecting the way the business is run. So unlike, in, I'll say years past, when you could look at things in a month-to-month or quarter-to-quarter basis, right now you need to be able to see how your business is running, what you're doing, what you're changing, how that's affecting your overall revenue, profitability, cash flow, all those things that are important. And the things that are working, you need to put more emphasis on those. Again, you need to be much more agile. So today more than ever, you need to not only have your numbers, but you need to have them fast and be able to recognize what to do based on those.
Not just knowing the numbers, but what to do with them. So, I've heard you kind of really put it in a great way where what you can do right now during this time and this dip, we'll call it, is, you can either weather the storm or sell umbrellas, right? Which is kind of play defensively and just hope to get through it. Or, adapt. It doesn't mean completely changing your business, but, sell umbrellas during this time. So can you talk a little bit about, what the overview is of defensive mode versus offensive mode during this?
Yeah. So when you think about defense, what that really means, it's the hunkering down, right? And to a degree, that's important. You need to recognize, you can't just go full steam ahead whenever the world changes. You do have to take a step back, look at how things are changing and adapt to that. So the defense talks about minimizing risk. You'll see it where, people are spending less, in some cases, or furloughs or even layoffs. That's the defense. The offensive side of things is now it's the sales, the marketing, the growing your business, the finding more opportunities. And that's just as important. And we work with customers, and some of those customers within days were asking us to help them with new initiatives, with technology initiatives. And that's really where the customers that, or the companies, the organizations that are still today in hunkering down mode are losing. They're getting whooped by their competition that are 2-3 weeks ahead of them in transforming their business, doing all kinds of things to bring them forward.
It just sounds like offensive is the better strategy. It sounds like it's the stronger word. But I don't know, maybe not every business thinks that they're in the position where they can get offensive during this, right? Because they have a lot of things to worry about. So can you kind of touch on what those, whether you think it is possible that everyone can get offensive to this, if it's a healthy mix of both, or how do you identify where the tactic you should be using?
So I think it's one of those things where you need to play both, right? You can, no matter how big a company you are, how much revenue you have, there's always some level of offense that you can play, and there's always some level of defense that you have to play. On the offensive side, if you're cutting back your time, your effort, your money on your organization, on your sales, on your marketing, on the initiatives that are going to bring you forward when we get past this, then you're not doing enough. And I think that's the key. You can figure out how to do that, but you need to be doing some level of it, or you're falling behind.
We're talking about this because obviously the big picture, everything that's going on, and business wise, it's the economy's getting hurt. And so, but there are a lot of uncertainties. There's two certain things we know are going to happen, right? Right now, the dip that we're in, and then that inevitable surge that's going to come whenever we get to that normal. So can you talk a little bit about, because competition isn't going away business wise. So can you talk a little bit about what you can do right now during this dip to kind of minimize the loss, right? Not have as low of a dip as your competition is having.
So there's two parts of it. There's the right now, and then there's the afterwards. Right now, there are things that you can do around, I'll call them productivity, efficiency type initiatives, because in order to help you, in order to make sure that you can still be productive in these times, those are definitely two types of initiatives that you can take on. And the third big one is what I'll call transformation type initiatives. You'll see this across the board where say in the restaurant industry, places are providing curbside pickup that never would have before, and they see that through. They're providing new ways to provide, whether it's consultation or products or services to their customers to get, to be able to provide their core service offering or core product offering to those who need it now the most. And I think that's the key, is figure out what your core offering is and find ways to still deliver that in these times.
And you're seeing, obviously, like you said, it's very popular, right? Grocery stores is one of the biggest things with that curbside. There are ways to change up your methods now that maybe last when that inevitable surge hits, right? So is that some of them? And are there other things we can be doing right now to prepare for that inevitable surge? It's going to happen when we get back to that normal, that when that hits, now we'll see those benefits and we'll be ahead of our competition.
If your competition is preparing for what inevitably will be a surge in products or services because people can't get them at the level that they had before, they're putting off, I'll call the non-urgent needs, but they'll still need them in a month or two, whenever the world is becoming back to normal. If you're not prepared to take on the surge, someone will be. And when they're there for what right now might be your customers, then they're going to keep those customers and they're going to gain market share, and they're going to be able to grow their businesses, where if you're not ready for it, you won't be able to.
That's really it. Is it sounds like knowing your numbers, the knowing the tactics you got to hit, a healthy balance of both the offensive and defensive to change up things during this dip and be ready for that inevitable surge. Are there any final kind of parting things that you'd like to summarize to really what businesses can be doing to essentially minimize the loss and maximize that potential to get through this stronger and, quite frankly, stronger than their competition?
So, obviously starting with being agile. You need to be more agile now than ever. You need to, it's part of the reason you need to know your numbers. You need to recognize what's working, change very quickly, adapt quickly, experiment, and you need to be smart. So, you can't be blind. You need to see what's working, what isn't. And then you need to understand how you can leverage, again, especially now, digital technologies, the apps, things like that, in order to accomplish those goals of knowing your numbers and being more efficient, productive, and even changing your service or product delivery method. Things like learning management platforms or web portals or mobile apps or things right now that people are using more of than they ever have. They're learning to use them, and they're more accepting of technologies than they ever have been. So I really think you need to embrace that.
Very insightful. Definitely appreciate you giving us the time to talk about that a little bit. And, hopefully the things we're doing now work, but hopefully that inevitable surge and that new normal comes very quickly. So we do appreciate the time. Thank you, John.
Agreed. Thanks, Stephen.